Okay, I've drawn a little bit with the marker to show you where the bow is. It's going to go down first. So it's going to go here, and then there's going to be an intersection like right here, as well as I have it here up to about here on the bottom part. That part is going to be sewn in on the other side, and then the bow is going to be, I'm going to do it in blue so you can see it better, is going to be from that sewn in portion up, and from that sewn in portion down, like that. And I'm going to do the little bit of the marking like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. I'm going to go across from the center front line because we need that ease, remember, in order to turn it back like that. And then I'm going to cut on that line so you can see the bow. So I've got that line. I'm going to cut on the edge here. Hopefully you can see that. Like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this side. Like that. And I'm leaving the excess, again, the excess past the center front, as you can see there. And there's your bow is starting. So we have this side of the bow, and once you have this side, I have to have the other side for you to see how it works. So, next step. So now I have that one piece from the one side, and I need to do the other side. So I prepared another muslin, and here's my bias on the other muslin. I'm putting right sides to right sides together like that. And then I'm going to cut around this so that I can have the other side of this. I'm going to put all the markings, and I'm going to put it on the mannequin, and I'll be right back. How I transferred to the other side, but before we do anything, I want to make sure you understand the armhole. Here's the side seam. I went out about 1/4 of an inch. I dropped it down 7/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to put my French curve on there and let it rest on those lines up to where the screw plate is and give myself the new armhole. After that, I'm going to true these lines and I'll get it on the mannequin. Hi, I'm back with the mannequin, and I have both sides pinned on the dress form. I have the right side and the left side, so you need to see that so that we can do this twist knot. The first thing you want to do is take the right over the left like this. Then you want to go up and make a knot, and it'll be up like that. And this is where the twist comes. Then you want to pull this one on top over to the left hand side, and then this one will go over to the right hand side. Let me pin that down so you can see that. And then you have to maneuver underneath here the remainder of this piece here from the center front like that, and here is the other part of the bow like that. You're going to have to sew this portion down in here, and you're going to have to sew this portion here on top. What you could do with this garment is that you could make this the opening of your garment, and so that you would open it up and put it over your head and make this your bow. Or you could have a zipper in the back and then go ahead and make this stationary so you can tack it down and make it look good. Also keep in mind that you're going to have a seam allowance around this because you're going to have to cut 4. You're going to have to cut 2 on this side and 2 on this side to clean finish your bow in order to make this nice on both sides of the bow and complete. It'll also give you an opportunity to clean the inside part of this facing. Okay, next step. I am with the back yoke so that we can do that. I prepared the piece and I pinned it where most of it is close to the top of the mannequin. A pin here to hold it down. Let's put another pin in the middle to hold it down. You want it on the center back. We're going to do our thing around the neck again so that we can get it freed around the neck. Again, it's the 2 fingers. It is down, across, and sharply to the intersection. Put a pin there And then we have to release by taking your scissor and cutting down to release. Cut off any excess if you can. And then we're going to cut down again. And you want to go upwards. You don't want to go down because then you can get in the intersection. So again, I'm going to go down, across, sharply to the intersection. Put a pin there. If it needs any more clipping, then go ahead and do that. All right, so we have some of this out. And that is out as well. It's nice and smooth here. We're going to smooth it over the shoulder like that. And this is straight grain. I did not make the back bias, okay? I wanted it to be secure, and I wanted it to also be able to hold the zipper properly without any problems. Using it over the bottom like that. I have this side. I'm going to put a pin through there so you can see that. I'm going to put this over that as well. You always want to put a pinch of ease in the around the princess line of the back. You want to make sure that you have that extra amount that's going to be for the back. And then we're going to put it all the way around here to the side seam. I'm going to go ahead and pin that down at the side seam. Hopefully you can see that. And now what I'm going to do is mark, and I'll be right back. I thought it would be a good idea for you to see the dropping of the armhole again. We have these lines and these intersections. So there's my shoulder. Here is my neckline. Okay, and this is the dots for the armhole. We have the dots here, and remember we went 3/4 of an inch down below that, which is right here. And this would have been the side seam, and we went out another 1/4 of an inch to nothing there. So now I'm going to put my back, which is a straighter line. It's not as curved as the front, following those back dots, and my new dropped point, which is right there. And I'm going to go ahead and draw that line in. These have to be used with a curved ruler, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And just follow the dots with your ruler. Get as much of the curve as you can. And I'm going to cut this out with a seam allowance and go back on the mannequin. Next step. Mannequin. And I'm just going to turn the bow part here up so it's out of my way. Okay. And remember, I always have an apex cross mark. I've prepared the muslin, and I'm just pinning it on the center front to secure it, as you can see here. And now I'm just following my yoke line as well. I've got this straight, right? I have that straight, and then I also have this perpendicular. So I'm going to keep it that way. I'm not going to drop it, as you can see here. I'm going to keep it straight across where this is parallel to the floor. And at that point, I'm just going to try to squeeze out some of this without it pulling. And I'm going to go ahead and pin that on the side seams like this. And I'm going to go all the way up. Because it's a larger bust, it will pull easily, so be careful with that. It depends on the size of your mannequin or dress form. And as I'm going to do this and pin it on the side like that, I'm going to release as well. So I'm going to try to do that, a little bit of releasing. And if I decide to make this a curved line instead of a straight line, I'm going to probably have to release as well. So I'm releasing a little bit. I'm seeing that it's pulling too much. I'm going to go ahead and just put the pins like that. And I'm going to maneuver it by eye. Here I have it on the waist. And I'm just going to feel where the hip is. You can see the very bumpy part of the dress form. That's your side seam. And you want to make sure that that is falling on the side seam. And that's what I'm doing now. And I'm just going to pin it like this. On this side and on this side. A little bit taut. All the way down. Because I'm going to add a little teeny bit of ease. So you see that all the way here. You see that over here. And let's get rid of some of this so you don't have too much fabric and you can see what's going on. Don't want to cut my bow, so let's go ahead and be careful there. Cutting this excess like that. And you want it to mold over. Because this is a bias seam and this is a straight grain, or that's a cross grain, this already is going to be flexible and move for you. So instead of putting a dart and making it very fitted here, I'm just going to make it a little loose and release that tiny dart and put it into the ease of that yoke. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so here's the front, pinned at the yoke and the center front. I also have a strategic pin here at the hip to hold it down. It still has some fullness, believe it or not, that will be absorbed in your body. So we're going to go ahead and do the back now. I have it pinned at the center back, all along the center back, as you can see. And now we're going to do the same thing by holding it straight, realizing we have the straight grain this way and then the crosswise grain this way. We're not going to drop it. We're going to keep it nice and straight, and we're going to put it on the yoke line and pin it on the yoke line like this and get rid of some of this excess. Clipping a little bit, releasing. Okay, here we go. We want to balance it too to the front. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. Remember that little bit of excess there? We want to make sure that this will fit that excess. So what I like to do is actually pin the two together like this, and that way I know for sure that I'm getting the right amount of ease on both the top part of the yoke and the part of the dress. So I'm pinning on the yoke itself like that, and on the yoke itself like that. Okay, here we go, like that. Okay, so we know that that's going to be on the yoke properly and it will be the right width. I'm going to put that down like that, and then we start to squeeze this out as much as we can, like that. All right, so I'm going to take some of this out because there's just way too much. I'm going to cut here, release some of this excess as well. Now I'm going to try to get the side seam to match the side seam like this. And I'm going to put pins this way to balance it. If I have to move this up a tad, we can move that up. Hope you can see that. And I'm going to balance it out again by holding it on to the waist. That's why I didn't pin this one down, I left it out. And I'm just going to put this over that one and try to pin it there as well. It's going to pull until I release it. So let me just go ahead and balance that out here, like that. There's way too much fabric. Let's clip that. Move some of this out. Okay, and I'm going to move just a little bit of this out just to get it out of the way. Still too much, we don't want that flapping around. Okay, so here we go. As you can see, it is now kind of pulling, but it's okay. It's a good pull. I'm going to go ahead and put this and make sure I have it on the yoke, the right width, like that. And because this is pulling, I'm going to go ahead and release it just a tiny bit. Okay, a little bit more. And I'm feeling this side seam, a high hip, and here is the full hip. I'm going to go ahead and pin this way. And here we go again on the opposite side of where that side seam is. I'm going to go ahead and mark and adjust. So we've got the markings. We're just going to dot, 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 dot. Cross mark at the side, cross mark at the waist intersection, and then the high hip dot, dot, dot. And then we're going to pull a grain here, and I'll be right back. Okay, here we have the center back. I went ahead and corrected this line, did the curvature of the side seam. Here's the waistline. Here's the high hip. I've go ahead and put that in. We want to pull that grain, remember? And we need to pull it usually the full part of the hip, which is about 9 inches down. So you actually want to measure about 9 inches down like this from the waist, and wherever that is, and the fullest part of that is, you want to pull that grain. Let me just go out just a little bit further to follow that dot. And from there, I'm just going to pull straight, just like that. That way I know I have a straight skirt, and it is going to be balanced as well. I'm going to go ahead and put that line in. Remember, we're going to add 1/4 inch for ease, and then 1/2 inch outside of that for seam allowance. At that point, we're going to start to just gracefully, let's get that curve better, gracefully add in that 1/4 inch, go as shy to about 1/8 inch at the waistline, like that, and then just kind of make that curve out like that. Add your seam allowance that you need, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, pin it on the mannequin, and next step. So here it is on the mannequin. I have pinned it on the yoke all the way across the back as well, the center back, the side seams. As you can see, it has its fullness, and now we need to get to the sleeve.